Paradise. Here we are going to take on a Ford F-150. This is a 2001, and someone decided that they were going to try to, I don't know what, this truck, but they entered the truck through the driver door and jacked all that stuff up there. Then once they were in the truck, they decided they were just gonna bust the ignition up trying to turn it. This is real crazy. Real crazy. There's part of the face of the plug, one of the tumblers sticking out of it, that they bust off. The hope is that they didn't damage the transceiver. So our job today is to get this ignition lock cylinder out of here and replace it, and also replace the one in the driver door. Woohoo! Another dilemma. Thank God for it. It uses a transponder key. I'm going to insert this key, or try to insert it. If I can insert it, then I will try to use one or a couple of picks out of this kit here to hold the tumblers in place while we turn it to take it out. We're trying to insert the key. As you can see, we can't insert that key. So I'm just going to have to put these tumblers, recess them so that they're even with the outside of the plug, turn that lock and pull it out. Underneath the ignition, underneath the housing rather, in this spot right here is a little poke hole where we can access the retainer. Once we turn this ignition to the run position, we'll be able to pull the ignition out. Removed the first one there. Now we're just going to try to force these tumblers down into a position where we can work on them, or at least get them even with the plug. Once we've done that, we'll turn it and depress the retainer and pull it out. Notice how they got it to the point where the sidebar is actually exposed. So let's pull that sidebar out of there, and that'll help us tremendously. Okay. And there it is right there on the floor. We've remove the sidebar. On this lock, it has a sidebar. On the lock we're installing, it doesn't have a sidebar. It uses the regular 8-cut tumblers that you'd also put in the door. The sidebar removed, let's attempt to turn this lock, see if we've got enough of the tumblers out of the way so we can turn it. And oh yeah, there we go. We got her turned. And ooh boy, they did a number on this baby. Okay, so we got it turned. We can go ahead and depress the sidebar. Depress the lock retainer and take it out. They really did a number on this one. My God. But hey, that's what happens. With the ignition lock cylinder turned to the run position, we can now go to this little port here and depress the retainer so that the lock can be removed. You can see it moving right there. I'm going to take a pair of pliers and pull it on out. Pliers, we're going to go ahead and pull it out. Okay, there we go. So let's take a quick look there. We don't see any damage done to the housing, so that's good. And the lock cylinder, okay, good, that's not all jacked up. So they didn't try to use a dent puller and pull the lock out. Great. Is to read the cuts of the key, the bitting, determine that bitting, and code this new lock to match the bitting of this key. This bitting looks like 3544342 2. Okay, So that's what we're going to code this lock cylinder up to and put it in. The cylinder only uses the last 7 of the bitting. So the last 7 cuts of the key are used in this 8-cut ignition. And as you can see, there is no sidebar. One day I'll show you how to remove this kind of lock cylinder if you do not have a key code that matches the lock cylinder. In other words, sometime or another the ignition lock cylinder has been changed. But in this situation, we've got the lock cylinder out and we're just going to recode this one and put it in. So we've got the tumblers installed in the lock cylinder. This is called coding. And now we'll try the key to make sure everything is good, and then we'll continue with the assembly of the cylinder and put it in. You can see we've got the key in, and all the tumblers are nice and flat down with the surface of the plug. In other words, the plug is eccentric. Code is good, key is installed. We'll continue assembling. Almost done putting this lock together. This little spring will go in that hole right there, and then you have a little ball that sits on top of that, and that's what that's what the retainer sits on, and is held in place by this little spring clip here. A lot of people drill this thing out when they're taking them out. I hope to God I get a chance to show you how to take this lock cylinder out when you either don't have a key or something of that nature. The lock cylinder's assembled, ready to put it in. They call it reinstalling. Brief inspection of the housing. We've depressed the retainer here by turning the ignition by turning this lock cylinder to the run position, and now we're just going to slide it in place inside, and then we'll turn it back to the lock position. Okay, so new lock cylinder installed. Booyah. Truck's running. Good deal.